Hello and welcome to this special conversation. I mean, this is a weekly or rather a fortnightly conversation, depending on how we go, and it's more or less a subject that all of us at some point in time talk about, whether it's in the academic domain with Professor Vijay Pereira and Dr. Edgar, or in the popular domain in the popular press in any part of the world. Sport and business. And just by way of introduction, Professor Vijay Pereira, one of the most distinguished professors of business. At the moment, he is in France at the Neoma Institute. He was formerly all over the world. He's been in England, he was in Dubai, and somebody who I have collaborated on, worked on multiple papers, conferences. Dr. Edgar has just finished an MBA, currently working with a startup in the fintech space, has been Vijay's student in the past. So two people who know what it is to talk about as far as sport and business is concerned. So this is a Sport in Society and RevSportz special, because this is one area of concern. Vijay, actually, if you can see him, he's standing right in front of one of the Olympic venues. So Vijay, let me start with you. Yes, I can see you pointing out. Firstly, introduce this subject about sport and business before I go to Edgar also. How important is it and how important is sport for the economy? Dr. Vijay Pereira, rather Professor Vijay Pereira.
Yeah, thank you, Boria. The whole topic of business and sport, as you are aware, Boria, we started the editorial in the journal as well. The importance has always been there, and more so in modern day business and sport. Let me give an example. Sports need technology, yeah, to better the game, to better the performance of sports person, for sustainable performance, and so on and so forth. Now, how do you bring technology to sport? That's where business steps in as an example. Yeah. So business finds the correct technology by sponsoring, by endorsing, by helping the sports person and the sports management associations and so on. And so this is an example, a classic example of how it's a win-win situation. Now, over the years, this has come to sort of a level where it is being very innovative. And so they find more and more innovative ways in which to collaborate, to form that nexus. And of course, sports need business, but also businesses use sport to make their, what they call the brand even better, to make it more attractive, because that's where, again, society comes in. Because at the end, we want a more sustainable game, particular sport. We want sportsmen's lives to be better, more sustainable. And of course, we want people to be attracted towards the sport. And so that's where these combinations come into play. Boria.
Okay, Edgar, similar question before I go back to Vijay. Sport and business, I mean, obviously sport is now big business, right? We've seen sport being monetized, commercialized. We've seen brands spend millions and billions of dollars in the Olympic Games. Your first thoughts on how commercially viable are big sporting events?
Well, first and foremost, thank you, Boria, for having me. That's a very good question, honestly, because on the one hand, you can very easily ask, we're spending a lot of money on sports and sport events, even though we have big challenges these days in the world, right? But for me, it's a very interesting thing because I think that sports could be a contributing factor to many, or a solution to many of these issues, bringing people together in one table. And it's something that we all are interested in, right? We all, as you said earlier in the intro, we all will get in touch with the Olympics and these big sporting events. So it's on the one hand a very powerful tool and a very powerful vehicle to bring people together. But on the other hand, from a business perspective, to come to your question, as I said, all people are coming together. Everybody's getting in touch with these areas, with the sports, with the big events. And for many companies, that's the perfect platform to distribute their messages, their values, their products, their general identity, and just create awareness. It's all about brand building. And if you have these venues, these big venues where you have this platform, they can be very, very powerful as a business tool.
Okay. I'll stop you there. I'll go back to Vijay. Vijay, the point that Edgar's making, that brands put in so much money to be visible, to be viable. But if you take the example of Tokyo, and here I'll come to Paris. I mean, Tokyo, once COVID happened, if you see the number of times, each time there was a poll, the Japanese public actually went against the Olympic Games. So the brands who were investing in the Olympic Games became jittery. So what is the correlationship when costs are overrun, the taxpayers bear the burden? So give me an example when you are in Paris, Vijay. Give me a sense. How have you seen the city evolve? Do you think the people of Paris will get behind the games? What is your sense of what's going on?
Well, Paris will be only the second country in the history of the Olympics. London was the first, where they held it for the third time. Okay. The next one, Los Angeles, 2028, will be only the third country. So 1900, the very second modern day Olympic was held in Paris, 24 and 100 years later. So Paris is ready. Now, the French love their sport, and they also love the brand Paris. Remember, Boria, Olympics is bid for by a city. And Parisians are very, very, very enthusiastic about this particular Olympics coming to them, because they're ready. They waited a long time. Now, if you go back to looking at your question on the brand, Paris is a big brand.
Using Paris as a brand question, Vijay, how important will it be from the sports tourism standpoint? Because it'll be huge business from that standpoint. Talk to me about it.
Yeah, well, it's not only about the economy. Like I said, the French love sport. They're really looking forward. I had a taxi driver this morning and I asked him, it's 637 days to Olympics, 711 days to the Paralympics. And they are on the pulse. They said, yes, we are aware, we are ready. We voted for it. And this taxi driver said, we in France, we love sport. And so in terms of also the politics behind it, the Parisian mayor, the local leaders, the local businesses, the local people, even the taxi drivers, it's big business for them. So economy-wise, yes. Interest-wise, yes. And again, I know, Boria, you're going to ask the question about legacy. They're really, really looking forward that this Olympics be held in 2024, because they really then want to take that legacy forward.
Overall, the sentiment that we are getting from Vijay is tourism, business, brand, that Paris is behind the games. How important will it be for the world to come together for the first time in this sense post-COVID, which will perhaps happen in 24? In 1 minute, please, because my time is short.
Sure. I think it will be super important to bring the people together, talk to people together, especially in this very difficult situation with the war going on in the East. And it is a great platform because, and this will be my finished statement, this idea of games wide open, which is very different than many of the Olympic Games in the past, where you don't have these integrated cities where people will not leave. They will actually freely interact with each other and freely interact with the city and get something out of the city. And an open platform will be very, very huge and very, very powerful for business and society, in my opinion.
Okay, so I'll finish this segment here, come back very quickly once again with Vijay and Edgar. But from what I'm getting from my two guests, one, Paris is behind the games. In terms of business, sport, tourism, brand, Paris is massive as an opportunity. Post-COVID, this will be a reunion of peoples of the world in a manner that we've not seen. So fascinating. This conversation will carry on as part of our Sport and Society and RevSportz special. Keep watching this Sport and Business Talk with Vijay Pereira and Dr. Edgar Asberger on RevSportz and Sport and Society. Thanks for watching. Back soon.